In this video, I would try to explain how Cersei Lannister ruined the final 2 seasons of the greatest TV series that ever was, Game of Thrones. The story of Cersei Lannister started out great, and went well until the Walk of Shame. Now she is humiliated, in front of the city, and about to face trial, on her alleged affairs with her brother. This trial aims to reveal how King Tommen is not King Robert's son, and thus, not his heir. We can see how the target of this part of the High Sparrow's great plan is King Tommen. While the High Sparrow is telling the Boy King that the faith and the crown should rule together, the High Sparrow isn't in the mood of sharing, and the trial of Cersei was about deposing Tommen. Cersei, to protect Tommen, conspired to blow up the sept with the High Sparrow in it. But the problem with how the story was written, left a lot not to be desired. The writers expects the audience to believe that Cersei and Qyburn, with orphan labor, somehow placed large amount of wildfire under the sept of Baelor, and successfully detonate them, and for some odd reason none of Varys or Littlefinger's spies knew what was going on. Also, the idea that Varys' little birds are now Qyburn's is illogical. Intelligence goes to those who pay for them, and Varys and Littlefinger have great spies. They should know Cersei's plan and allow it to happen, however, on their terms. In the HBO series, the mistake they made was continuing the Cersei storyline into Season 7. The entire Season 7 was all about one thing, making Cersei Lannister a force to be feared. I call Season 7 of Game of Thrones, Keeping Up with Cersei Lannister. To achieve that goal, other characters had to say how dangerous she is, how strategic she is. Also, the writers used their writing powers to make other characters dumb, to make Cersei great. They also made unrealistic alliances to make Cersei look great. The worst part of the Cersei Season 7 story is that people lost loved ones to the terrorist attack, and the word in the street is that Cersei is responsible for it. Guess what they did? Nothing. And there was peace, and the people celebrated a terrorist attack on their city and their family members. I guess King's Landing turned into an alternate version of 9/11, where Osama bin Laden becomes the President of the United States, after his gang blows up Congress and the White House and proclaimed him the Supreme Leader of the United States of America. Some people might say the situation is different, but it isn't that different to me. This is what the writers tried to say by running Cersei's storyline past Season 6. The blowing up of the sept is a great TV moment, but it could have been made better. To make it better, one more player would be in the plot, and that character would be Gendry. Gendry, after he returned to King's Landing, changed his name to Arion and disguised his face with facial hair. Joffrey dies at his wedding, and Tommen is now king. During the reign of Tommen, all was well, as the union of Lannisters and Tyrell made the city prosper. That was until the death of Tywin Lannister. The Sparrows started terrorizing the city, and Cersei tried to use the Sparrows to eliminate Margaery. This action by Cersei puts her claim of protecting her kids into question, since it looked more like her being power-hungry. The Sparrows created a rift between the two great houses, and the city came under the control of the High Sparrow, who had Margaery, Cersei, and Sir Lors as his prisoners in the name of God. Arion creates his own brotherhood to help those who needed help, Robin Hood style. Their number was growing. His brotherhood had grown to 260 men and women when Cersei's Walk of Shame happened. Arion receives report from his operatives of the plot to blow up the sept with the Sparrows in it. They debated interfering, but one of his advisors saw it as an opportunity to take out the High Sparrow as well as the Lannisters. They then kidnapped Margaery on the day of the trial dressed as sparrows. The sept blows up, and Tommen, thinking Margaery was in the sept when it blew up, kills himself. Cersei, upon hearing the news, runs to the site and mourns her son. She claims to have done it to protect him. While she was mourning, the Red Keep came under attack, and Arion's brotherhood overpowered what was left of Tommen's security detail and took over the Red Keep. Cersei is arrested. During the trial of Cersei at the Dragon Pit, Aerion reveals he is Gendry, one of King Robert's bastards. Cersei assassinate. Cersei was overcame with grief. She didn't say a word, and as all the allegations piled up, The angry mob rushed to the pit and savaged her. Meanwhile, upon hearing the news of Tommen's death, and the arrest of Cersei by the Brotherhood, Jaime, who was at River Run, marched the Lannister army back to King's Landing to rescue Cersei. It was too late. A trial for Cersei was staged and the angry mob tore her to pieces. The news filled Jaime with anger and rage, but he wasn't equipped to retake King's Landing from the Brotherhood. So he decided to place the city under siege by raiding supply routes. The siege wasn't so effective because Jaime had no navy. So he makes a deal with Euron Greyjoy of the Iron Islands. In the next Game of Thrones video, I will explore the events that should have brought Daenerys to Westeros with one goal: conquest.